everybody.
Everyone's quiet. When someone's right, we all got it. Yeah, you left it so cold.
What else?
I don't want to put glasses on.
It'll be hard to do, or could be the music interference.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, and wake your way in nice and quietly. The safe space is open, but today it's a little bit Australian over here. Oh yes, indeed. Now what I'm going to do is, as soon as this intro music stops, I'm going to shut up. I am going to hand over to my good friends Jess and Luna, and I've got Donnie, and we've got Ken here today. I tell you, this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Please share it out right now, because there's information you're probably going to hear today that maybe you've never ever heard before. Maybe nobody's heard before. So take this chance to go and hit share, hit like, and get somebody you care about in here to hear some of the best information, and some information that you've never heard before. So with that said, let me hand over to my good friends Jess and Luna. There we go. How you doing, guys?
Good, thanks, Ken.
Hey everyone.
Luna, this is where I get to be quiet now. I've got my hammock ready. I'm going to put my feet up. You girls take care of proceedings. Me, Donnie, and Ken, we will follow your lead. I've got a lot of notes here to get through today. We've got images, we've got videos. I think this is our third installment, Luna. And
Yep.
I don't know, but I've been thinking about this one even more than the previous two, and I hope it's not a case of I'm going to build it up in my own mind. I don't think it is. My gut tells me this is going to be better than the two we've already done, and they stand alone in their own right, you know. So with that said, over to you girls.
Thanks for having us, Jeff. Thank you. And yeah, this time I was a bit worried that we wouldn't have enough information, but when Donnie and Luna and I were on a call yesterday, it just kept coming and coming. So honestly, like, I reckon we could do another 100 shows, really, because once you start digging into this stuff, it's just endless, and there's just so many mysteries here in Australia, and so much that we don't know and that we've been told is one way, and it's not necessarily that way according to all the evidence and, you know, the average culture, and it's just so complex, despite, you know, people's perception of them being maybe a bit primitive. It couldn't be further from the truth. They are really one of the most complex societies on the planet. So over to Luna so she can do the recognition of country.
To begin with love and respect, we acknowledge Creator, the Mother, the spirits, and the ancestors of all the many lands this voice is being heard in. Welcome to the day.
Well,
So I guess we were we were discussing starting the show with talking about what happened to the Aboriginal people upon colonisation here in Australia, because I think that's something that a lot of people don't really know much about, including Australians. Up until sort of 1995 to 1997, when we had the inquest into the stolen generations, and that inquest was called Bringing Them Home. Up until that point, really not much was known in the wider community at all about what went on with government policies in regards to these horrible eugenics programs that were designed to institutionalise and basically breed out the Aboriginal person through these horrible, policies, and through removing children from their families and putting them on what they call missions and raising them institutionally to serve as house workers, labourers and the like. So I really don't want to say too much more because it's not my story, but I do know that there are not very many Aboriginal people, if any, that I know that haven't been touched by this in some way, shape or form. So with that, I'll let Luna and Donnie take it from here because it really is their story.
Okay. Well, this is really hard for me, so if I duck out for a second, I'm not good at this. I said to my mum, I can't talk about this. And she said, oh, you're allowed to. It's your life. And I went, no, I can't talk about it because it hurts me and it upsets me emotionally deeply. So Stolen Generation started about 1910 and they just went on the missions, and all the kids that were light-skinned in various different shades were removed from their families and put all over different areas. So they were removed from our country. So like you've heard before in the last two shows, we have country, that's where we're tied to, and they took them off there and put them in someone else's country. So when they grew up, they had no idea about the food or anything about their own country, the dreaming there, all that stuff we talked about. We had nothing like that. The institutions made them like, we call it white fella, and when we say that, we're not saying that because you got white skin, you're a bad person. We're saying that it's a way of thinking, and what's happening in the world today, you feel in what we call the white fella way of thinking. So they put him in these institutions and brought him up. There was a statement in a book I have, Between Two Worlds, that said, bring them up white. Get them thinking white, get them being white. That was their intention. What happened to that generation was a couple of generations, and to be quite honest, I'll be real truthful here. My daughter had a dream and got arrested for being on the Kim Baker show, so here we go. Be quite honest, the government took the children, various things happened to them. They didn't only go to these institutions where they were abused in many different ways, and you can let your imagination grow there. They put them from the hospital straight into what they call adoption. A lot of these adoptions weren't legal, and the mothers that they took the babies off were sterilised, and this happened to my mother. Her mother was taken to hospital from Redfern, and they took her baby off her and they sterilised her without her permission, and they took her baby, and all she said when they took a baby was screaming, please let her have her name. So she still has her first name. But she was put into a white family and lots of bad things happened. And the rest of the family, their stories going back where they were running from the government, so they wouldn't take the kids, and there were 13 kids, but not all of them made it, and we don't know what happened to them. They just went off the face of the earth. So I kind of grew up without family. That's why people meeting Brother Donnie, and that is really important, because we all got to come together as family because of what they did. That's why I married a white fella, because any black fellas that I meet that I have strong ties to could actually be my relatives. Shit.
Now, Luna,
Okay.
you were also,
so-
you'd also kind of told me just before we started, we were talking about me being in the army, and you even had,
Yeah.
when you went, I think you obviously had thoughts of joining the military at one point, right? Do you want to share what happened there?
Yeah, when I left school and found I didn't really want to get a job as per se. I thought I wanted a career. So me and my friend, who was an ordinary Aussie English girl, we went up to the army place in Blacktown and walked into the office and sat down. The lady said, "Can I help you?" We went, "Yeah, we want a career in the army." And the lady looked at me and said, "Sorry, I can't help you. We don't take people like you." And then I proceeded, looked at my friend and went, "How can I help you?" And had all the papers there and everything. And to this day, I don't know why. I just could imagine. But the army didn't want me. So guess what? Overlords.
Wow. Wow.
But
Nice.
So-
Anyone you didn't know, that's good.
So this issue with the Stolen Generation, when the inquest came out in 1995 to 1997, at that time the local governments started issuing apologies, but the main one was the federal government that they really wanted the apology from, because that would then set a precedent for them to receive the compensation that they needed. And that wasn't happening, so they created Sorry Day, which was a day that they allocated to remember everything that had happened to them. Obviously hard to forget on any day, but that was a particular day that they set aside. What date is that again, Anne-Marie? I'm so sorry, I should know it, but...
I should know it too. I know it. I know that day, but I don't know it by the date. I know that day because my mum was sitting there on the right-hand side. If you see the picture later, she's on the right-hand side up the top, and she got to hear it. And all of us that were listening to it, no matter where we were, we all started to cry. And for me, that was really special because my mum, that was a kind of closure for my mum, which meant it was a closure for us as well. And all the aunties and uncles that I know that have been through it. And
That's a photo there of the Moore River settlement, and the Aboriginal kids that were raised in these places were literally not allowed to do anything Aboriginal. So they weren't allowed to practice their language, they weren't allowed to do ceremony, they weren't allowed to do their dancing, they weren't allowed to do their singing. Nothing Aboriginal was accepted whatsoever. It all had to be English, Christian, and so began this massive displacement of just about all of them, really. Like a lot of them don't even know where they were from or where they were taken from or who their people were even. So in 2007 was when Kevin Rudd, Prime Minister Kevin Rudd at the time, issued that apology. And if you wanted to play a little bit of it, it was very emotional.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm quite shocked. I'm going to play this. Here we go.
Today we honour the Indigenous peoples of this land, the oldest continuing cultures in human history. We reflect on their past mistreatment. We reflect in particular on the mistreatment of those who were stolen generations, this blemished chapter in our national history. The time has now come for the nation to turn a new page. A new page in Australia's history by righting the wrongs of the past and so moving forward with confidence to the future. We apologise for the laws and policies of successive parliaments and governments that have inflicted profound grief, suffering and loss on these our fellow Australians. We apologise especially for the removal of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from their families, their communities and their country. For the pain, suffering and hurt of these stolen generations, their descendants and for their families left behind, we say sorry. To the mothers and the fathers, the brothers and the sisters, for the breaking up of families and communities, we say sorry. And for the indignity and degradation thus inflicted on a proud people and a proud culture, we say sorry. We, the Parliament of Australia, respectfully request that this apology be received in the spirit in which it is offered, as part of the healing of the nation. For the future, we take heart, resolving that this new page in the history of our great continent can now be written. We today take this first step by acknowledging the past and laying claim to a future that embraces all Australians. A future where this Parliament resolves that the injustices of the past must never, never happen again. A future where we harness the determination of all Australians, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, to close the gap that lies between us and life expectancy, educational achievement and economic opportunity. A future where we embrace the possibility of new solutions to enduring problems where old approaches have failed. A future based on mutual respect, mutual resolve and mutual responsibility. A future where all Australians, whatever their origins, are truly equal partners with equal opportunities and with an equal stake in shaping the next chapter in the history of this great country, Australia.
Wow, there you go, guys.
It was a very historic moment indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've got to tell you, but I'll tell you the truth here. They did all that, right? In our culture, when you say sorry, it means you don't do it again, and we forgive you, and we're all back to where we started, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they still do it, but they call it something different. And what they do is the young mums, especially, so if you're a young mum and you go up the hospital and have your baby, they look into the history of your family. And if any of your brothers or sisters or mum or dad has had anything like violence or alcoholism or drug use and that, they take your baby off you. And then you've got to fight to get it back. And they do it on no reasonable platform at all, just on say-so. They won't tell you that's happening, but that is actually what's happening. They're still doing it. They're full of, yeah.
Wow.
Well,
it's still going on, basically.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Ken,
bloody brave for saying what he said. I commend him for that. But
let me
still,
bring
it's
Ken in here. Ken, how you doing, brother? It's
good, man.
good to have
I
you
was
on
just going to say, Jacinta Price, she's like the mayor of Alice Springs. Like, she's been trying so much to make people awake what's going on in the outback. And like 4 times she tried to get on current affairs shows like The Project, and 4 times they said, oh no, we can't have you on tonight because we don't want to hear that, you know. And it's like, it's been blocked from trying to get the truth out for, you know, a few years now. It's sad.
It's horrendous, it really is. I mean, I'm still kind of lost for words that they've kind of... Well, I'm not surprised they've changed the name of it, Luna. And it's still going on, but it's still quite shocking to hear, you know. In this day and age, I've always said to people, even before I knew you guys, because I worked with Max Egan, Australia is kind of like a canary in a coal mine for me. And there's a lot of stuff goes on down there that's tried first. It's rolled out in Australia first, and we don't even know about it. We never hear about it because conveniently we're never told about it. But then when you do go looking, you find out, well, no accident that dirty Union Jack's still in the flag, you know, and part of... I know they don't have the British Empire anymore, but they certainly have a cabal, right? And the people in Australia, they're are under probably as much, if not more, in certain cases, pressure than a lot of us, you know. Still quite shocked at these kind of stories here, but I'll bring Donnie in. Because Donnie, have you got anything to share on this topic at all?
Well, yeah, when we was kids, when we were living up bush, if any police car or any unusual cars used to come around, Dad used to yell out, "Scatter!" and we used to run up in the bush and hide until the car was gone.
G'day.
And I was also taken by welfare when I was a younger fella. Around with made work on farms, day in, day out, I never seen my mum and dad for a long time. Then eventually mum got us back. And we took off to Queensland away from them. It was the hardest part of my life because I had to go off country to get away from welfare. And it still hurts to this day.
Shocking, man, shocking.
Is it?
Yeah, I like to make a point there too. When white intervention came around this area, around the Kenworth area, there was estimated 20,000 Kamilaroi people. Within 10 years, it whittled down to 6,000. And that was just due to the common cold, massacres. Where I lived, there's 1, 2, 3 massacre sites.
Now that's something that's not known about. Sorry to interrupt, Donnie. I just wanted to add that's something that is very little known about and not spoken about pretty much whatsoever. And we're not taught about that at all in schools. And that is very, very on the hush-hush that there were actually these massacre sites. We're told, that there was policies that children were taken away, but we're not told about these massacre sites. So with that, I'll just let you continue, Uncle Donnie. Sorry for the interruption.
You're right, Jess. This one down here, they poisoned them with poison bread. They put cyanide in it. The one up here, they shot them and used swords against them. Women and children, old folk. Over here, they pushed them off a cliff. Herded them up like cattle, then pushed them off the cliff. And their bones are still there to these days. And I won't go near them. Bad mojo. We got a ceremonial place up here for the one up near Bingra. They call it Mile Creek Massacre. And they go, every year they go up there and pay homage, smoke the joint, have song and dance. Praise the spirits of the area and all that. Well, that's all I've got to say at the moment.
I just want to thank Lonnie and Luna for speaking about this subject because it is such a difficult subject and not one that Aboriginal people like to speak of in general at all. So for them to come on camera and talk about it is a pretty huge deal. And I know it's not a nice topic and not a great feel-good thing to talk about, but it's part of getting that information out there that has otherwise been not very well known.
That's the kind of reason I'm really happy we're doing these shows. Happy isn't the right word to choose, but people do need to hear this stuff, big time. I'm still quite shocked. Not often I'm shocked, Ken, but shocking, man.
In my area in Gippsland, there's a place called Mafra, and I actually lived there when I was a kid, but 100 and so years ago, this guy Angus McMillan went in and he slaughtered every single tribe of people there, 200 of them all up, and they've got a pyramid Freemason statue in Sale of this guy who actually went around just slaughtering Indigenous people, and he had skulls of every chief Indigenous guy. He had 12 of them in a sack, And I tried to tell people about this a few years ago on Facebook on Australia Day, and I got blocked for 6 months on Facebook because I was being a party pooper, I guess,
So he does the deed, gets a statue.
I know all my friends there, I've known him for years. I went to school with him, and they didn't even know about this. I feel bad that I've actually told a lot of them about it over the last,
Wow.
years.
Actually, that'd be a brilliant segue into. I have a story about an Aboriginal warrior to do with his skull, actually, if this would be a good time to maybe tell that story.
Give us 2 seconds then, because I didn't want to interrupt Luna when she was talking earlier. So I've got a couple of super chats to play, and that'll pick us up again and get us ready for the warrior story. And Luna, thank you for sharing that, okay? Really, big time. So I'm going to play these super chats. I've got algorithm coming in first. No, in fact, no. There we go. It's Edward. Thank you, Edward.
Coffee and donuts on me.
Oh, donuts. Now you've made me hungry, dude. Oh, not good. And then we've got pollination as well. I'll play this quickly. There we go.
Yeah, I'm a Capes Down Under fam PPP. Love you so much.
There we go. See, that's made everyone smile again. And that's, I tell you though, that's horrendous. And Ken, if there's anyone, that lady you mentioned, if we can get her on the show at some point, I don't know if you know her or whatever, but might not be the biggest show in the world, but if it helps get the information out there, I'm here, brother, right? So, Jess,
Thanks.
warriors, come on, hit me with it.
Okay, so there's the legendary warrior called Pemawee, and he's considered somewhat of an Aboriginal hero in the fact that the Aboriginal people didn't lay down and take it, man. They didn't roll over and let these guys just come in and take their land, you know, like they put up a resistance. And this guy, he was born in the Botany Bay area, which is currently the Sydney area, where, you know, they first rocked up with the first fleet. And he was, he was born in the mid-1700s. And he was a warrior, but he was also thought to be a clever man. There were rumours that he was a clever man as well as a warrior. And he led a resistance by his people, who were the Eora mob, against the British occupation. And he also enlisted two other mobs as well. And they basically started, he originally was hunting for them and trading meats for goods with them, and then had an altercation with one of the officers who he speared. And then from then on, he started a guerrilla war against the British for the next 12 years. And he, at one point in 1795, he was almost killed by a bushranger, but despite having buckshot in his head and his body and an iron around his leg, he managed to escape the hospital. And so that had people talking and thinking that he was a clever man even more so. And he resumed his fighting a couple of years later until he eventually was shot 12 years after beginning the guerrilla war. And in 1801, that was in 1801, and then following his death, the Governor King at the time, wrote to Lord Hobart that upon his death, the Aboriginal people had given him Pemawee's head, telling him that Pemawee had been the cause of much trouble for them. And Governor King, following this act, gave back certain regions to the Aboriginal people and forbade ill treatment of them. And then here's where it gets interesting. His head was preserved in spirits and sent to Sir Joseph Banks in England, accompanied by a letter from Governor King, who wrote, although a terrible pest to the colony, he was a brave and independent character. And repatriation of that skull has been requested by the Aboriginal people in that area. And Prince William himself promised repatriation of that skull personally.
He's probably got it personally.
Yeah. Well, they can't seem to find it. They had a lead that led to the what's that, Luna?
We've been fighting terrorism since the 1770s. That's a list of all our wars that we had and massacres. I'll take that into town and wear it with pride.
So, yeah, still to this day it can't be found because there's an estimated 3,000 Aboriginal remains in the UK. And it turns out trying to track it down and weed it out from the other ones.
Whoa. I mean, I know that some of these, like, higher-ups in the UK, they're creepy on a good day. But now you're talking about thousands of, like, skulls and skeletons that are just, just in private collections. I mean, everyone's got a skeleton in a private collection, right? What on earth's name is that all about?
I know.
Freemasons.
It's really bizarre. I don't know if they know something everyone else doesn't about Aboriginal remains or what. But yeah, I just thought
That's a
cool little
story and a half. I like that. I do like that one. Dang. Now, what was the warrior's name again?
Pemulwuy.
How'd you spell that?
Pemuluy.
I'm only asking because I'm going to look into it, because that's a cool story. I've never heard anything like that before.
That's not the spelling, Kev. The spelling is, hang on, where have I got it? I've got to read it out because Pemulwuy. Pemulwuy.
Okay, got that. And is there stuff online, Jess, that you can find out about him,
Yeah.
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into that. No, that's a pretty, that sounds like a bit of a character right enough, as it said in the letter. A bit of a character indeed. But I'm going to bring up here our notes again to see, because we've got that. So now this is where I knew we were getting up to the bit that was going to really, really excite me and the audience out there. It might be early over here in the UK, but every time of day is good for woo, right? Now, when Ken called into the show before, he was talking about the Thylacine. Now, I'm going to come to you first then, Ken. I've got a list of things here, a list of beasties and animals and creatures and cryptids, but the Thylacine, any updates on that, brother?
Well, yeah, apparently where I live, there's been many sightings over the years. So when I saw one back in April, you know, and then hearing all these other people in town seeing them, I knew I wasn't tripping. And it turns out Thylacine researcher, he comes here all the time, every few months, and he found some Thylacine footprints out at the golf course. Yeah, and
so that sign there was at your local fish and chip shop, isn't it, Ken?
Yeah.
That you saw that sign, and then you contacted this man.
Yep, that's how I found him, and it was like, you know, I was trying to tell me. I don't want people to know what town it is though, because I mean, he doesn't seem to care, but you know, I don't know. It's good to keep it pretty private, you know.
Yeah.
It's got Thylacines actually living in your area. When I saw those two Thylacines, I actually had tears because I was so happy, because I've been obsessed by them for years, and just to see they were living, you know, it was
And there's a
one of the
video
most
too,
amazing
Ken.
things. You know? What's that?
There's a video as well, isn't there, mate? Is that guy that you got that video from? Was that his footage?
He's a friend of mine in the town, like 3/4 an hour away that I used to live near. And he has a night camera because foxes had been stealing his chooks and his hens, for people who don't know what chooks are.
Awesome. Some chooks. Love it. Blue Chook Brigade.
Anyway, chookies, they were getting taken by something in the night. So he set up a night camera, but it only went off for like, you know, a very short time. He's got it set so it goes longer now, but he's a real hunter, mate. He's got like, he's in the handgun club. He's got every gun you can think of. He's in with all the cops, so he's a good mate to know. And I've known him for 20 years, but yeah, he filmed this Thylacine. Well, I think it looks like a Thylacine, and I've put it up on YouTube, and like so many people go, I just put fox or Thylacine, and it's like the whole thing's been, that's a fox, that's a Thylacine, that's definitely a Thylacine, nah, it's definitely a fox.
Kev, sorry to interrupt. Kev, I've sent that footage to you. The footage that he's talking about, I sent that footage to you.
Okay, give me 2 secs.
Yeah, it up. Yeah.
See, Jess is very, very, very well organised. Me, not so much. Not so much.
Tech savvy, you know.
Right, I'm scrolling up here, scrolling up.
Be one of the first ones, I reckon.
It's sort of black and whitish looking.
Hang on.
Green.
It's going to, oh, there we go. Yeah, I've got it. There we are. Let me bring it over here then. Okay. There we are.
There's some of the footage after that goes on for a bit, so I'm just saying the first part of it's the main bit.
There we go. That there.
That's it.
That head looks too big for a fox.
It is too big for a fox.
I used to watch foxes when I was doing CCTV at night. That doesn't look like a fox to me.
No.
What do you
And
make
you
of
can
that?
see stripes as well.
Yeah,
I
what do you
reckon.
make of that,
See
Donnie?
stripes.
I've seen many of foxes, and it doesn't look like,
No.
doesn't move like a fox.
Cleanliness, 2006, same animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I seen one up there, cleanliness, 2006, same animal, that one there.
It's like that, yeah. I
Yeah,
believe
much bigger
Donnie, I
snout,
reckon.
too.
Yeah, that's
all
not-
It's just stripes on the back. Same animal.
So, Ken, what is meant to have happened to the Thylacine? I mean, were they just... Did they
They
die
seem to
out?
be hopping around suburbia.
They were wiped
They're
out.
They were wiped
South
out, Donnie, yeah.
Australia.
Yes.
1936 was when they last one was apparently dead, you know, in captivity.
Probably sent a couple over to a couple of Englishmen by the sounds of it. Probably stashing it with their Aboriginal bones. Do you know what I mean? It's
Oh,
crazy.
the royal family probably got the last of them, you know, and sacrificed them and ate them or something.
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. And of course, there's other footage here, quite famous footage as well.
Yeah.
It's a lovely looking thing, isn't it?
Marsupials, you know, they had pouches just like kangaroos. I mean, what a beautiful
Well, their
creature.
closest cousin is a kangaroo.
Yeah,
Is it?
exactly. I've seen,
Yeah,
when I saw
they
it,
can't
it was
miss the
standing
kangaroo,
up
them
like
fellas,
a kangaroo. When the one I saw, there were two of them. One stood up like a kangaroo, and then it went back on its four legs, and I go, what? That's not a kangaroo.
Yeah, well,
And then I instantly realised what I was looking at. You know, I was like, wow.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And then I found out all these other people over the last 20 years have seen them everywhere here, you know. And there's
Yeah.
all these reports. I've got a site here, actually, where you get to read all the reports of people who've seen them here because of the guy I know.
Give it out, Ken, in case
Yeah.
people... Give it out, because there's probably listeners out there. They love all these kind of cryptid stories and things, so let them know where they can go and check that out.
Well, Murray, oh, God, I had his site
Yeah,
open.
put him on the
somewhere.
spot now. Put him on the spot now. See this, Jess? See?
Yeah, I was going to email him say, come on the show. Hang on, I've got his site here somewhere. It's in my email.
So, Luna, have you ever come across any of these things on your travels?
Nah, not that fella. I dreamed with those though.
You have?
Yep, I had a dream me and my daughter were walking along and we had one on each side of us, and I woke up and she had the same dream, and I was like, wow, I know I didn't quite understand what it was, but I know it was special. And I know that they are still around. I can feel them.
See, now that just blows my mind. That's beyond cool. Beyond cool. But listen, this isn't the only strange cryptid that we've got noted down here. But something called water dogs. What's the water
Yeah,
dog?
That's Donnie's. That's Donnie's.
what we call bunyip up around here.
Water dogs?
Yeah, water dog.
A water
heard of
They
dog?
live in
What?
billabongs and holes like bunyip.
So it's like the bunyip
But-
then?
They live in caves under the water. And if you go there by yourself and you get dragged under by them, you get killed by them.
Mm.
That's why they used to tell them not to go there, because there was water dogs there in certain holes.
Whoa, ho, ho. See, folks, I told you you'd hear stuff you don't hear anywhere else today. So, since we're on water dogs, giant eels. Now, one of the
That's
most,
Luna.
That's Luke.
yeah, Luna, one of the
Yeah,
most
that's fine.
ridiculous kind of theories on the Loch Ness monster is that this scientist, this genius, he thinks he's figured it out because he found eel DNA in Loch Ness. Now, listen, hey, that'd be pretty cool if eels weren't in Loch Ness, but Loch Ness is full of eels, so that's like finding a piece of, I don't know, human skin, and saying, oh, I definitely think it's human. Well, no crap, obviously it's human. There's lots of eel stuff in there, but giant eels, they do exist, right? So,
Yep.
what's your story about them?
Well, I don't know if I told you in the last show, there's a place near me called Bent's Basin, and me and my hubby took the kids when they were younger and I first moved in this area. And there was something in the water. I just knew there was something in the water, and we packed up and I said, I'm never going there again. And I never really thought much about it. I just knew it was one of those places, right? We do that. But because of the show and that, I thought, oh, look, I should look into that more. So I found out from the local mob what is actually in there. And they said it was a giant eel, and it's called Gurrungunji. And people go missing there, Kev, all the time. Like, I don't know why people still go there. There's always someone drowning, go missing and drown. They drown and go missing. They find them later.
So is this,
Like,
hang on, this is a place called Gurrungunji?
I've seen some big eels.
Is it called Gurrungunji? Gurrungunji, is that what it's called?
yeah, Gurrungunji.
I tell you, that's a proper Australian name, that. That even just sounds Australian. But you wouldn't catch me going anywhere near that water. So, do we think it's an eel? Do we think it...
In Gippsland, we used to have 20-foot-long worms, earthworms.
Yeah, we
had the biggest earthworms on Earth, but no one ever really knows about that.
Yeah, we got.
That's not a worm. That's a snake.
And we got blind snakes. They're the only harmless snakes in Australia.
Yeah, but you've also got funnel web spiders and things like that.
Oh, they're freaks.
Brown snakes.
Yeah, you've got too many animals over there.
The Eastern brown, they nearly killed me a few times.
So, right, Donnie's going to take it on. What's up, Donnie? You're going to add to this now.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, my uncle shot a snake, shot an eel in a little creek years ago, back in the 60s. It was over 9 foot long, and it was about as big as a milk tin.
So, Luna, we think that the people are literally getting, like, taken by what is a giant eel then?
Well, I thought about it.
Or a bunyip?
No, I thought it was a bunyip at first. See, when I first went there, I thought, oh, I think it feels like a bunyip.
Remember you telling me that, Luna? Yeah, you told me you thought it was a bunyip.
Yeah.
I lived in the town of Bunyip. Sorry, me first UFO up close there. Weird place, I tell you.
Water dog.
Water dogs.
So,
they're like the
water dog.
Kelpie. The Kelpies.
Yeah, the Kelpies, yep. The Selkies as well. We've got water shapeshifters, but
sounds like similar things.
That thing there has got to be the most terrifying whatever it is I've ever seen in my life. It's got too many legs, it's got hairy, it's got eyes where it shouldn't be. That thing there needs hitting with a big shoe. Really big shoe.
Like,
Right, hold on, guys, hold on. You go first, Ken, and then Donnie, okay?
I'll say they're like shapeshifters. There's so many different versions of the bunyip. It's like,
Yep.
No one sort of knows exactly what they actually look like, really.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think to that, Donnie?
Well, the bunyip is a shapeshifter. He can look like anything you want, like human, a bird.
Yep.
That creature there, or the water dog.
So it basically is like our Selkie then? And our Kelpies?
Yeah. You could actually say this, it's the Aussie version of the skinwalker.
Yeah. That's what I think, yeah.
Oh, now, come on, now. You can't hit me with, like, Australians' version of the skinwalker. Not at, like, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. I'm not ready for this, Donnie. Come on.
Donnie, Luna, could I just ask you about one thing? A close Indigenous friend of mine told me about a entity called Featherfoot, who
well, look at Luna's face. No, what's happening here?
He's a really scary dude. You don't ever want to see him, and his feet never touch the ground.
Yeah, we spoke about Colonization Man last show, and that was one of the things we probably shouldn't have spoken about
Oh, sorry.
Out of respect, they
Okay,
actually
let's just
Like,
drop that straight away.
now
So we're kind of lucky to have got to get on that one out.
He told me about it. He said, I never
Getting,
used, you know.
gonna get us into trouble, bro.
Okay, go away.
Back to the bunyips, right?
Yeah,
Ken, I'll tell you, man, you're awesome. But okay, here's another good one, right? Because Donnie, last night on the show, and Scotty Lopez, he's really big on, and I have to agree with him, that when it comes to this planet, yeah, the majority of it's covered by water, but then you've got these caves, you've got underground systems. Who only knows what's lurking in around there? And in this notes here, I see underground creatures, caves, openings. So what's going on there, guys?
That's with lizard people.
I'll let Luna start that one off.
All right. Well, there's a few things with the cave at the Nullarbor. They reckon no, you don't go in there because that's where they went into all the underground caves, them other fellas. And in there you find bones of extinct animals and paintings, but we don't go in there. And I reckon them caves link up to the other caves that go connected to Gosford, and they're all underground. With the water stuff, but Kev, the other day you were talking about they found a campsite under the water.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a question for anyone out there that can answer this. So if the water came up and covered them campsites, how come our inland sea disappeared? Where's those crickets chirping?
So the water rose and covered a lot of the landmass, the original landmass, but yet there was inland seas and they disappeared.
Yeah, we had an inland sea before Captain Cook. The other people could sail straight up the middle of Australia and access the other side of the mountains from there. And when Cook came, he was following someone else's instructions, and when he got there was no sea. But everything else had been inundated with water. So, yeah, I don't understand that unless it had something to do with the underground caves.
So we're talking about
years back, you know, the Great Flood. Yeah.
So we're talking about an inland sea that at some point was recorded, boats going up it, like you say, and then all of a sudden when Cook gets there looking for it, Australia's there but no inland sea.
Yep, exactly. So that's why he came up the east coast and we all copped it.
You know, we've been talking about the kind of some of the problems they think they're having inside the core of the planet and things. And when I've been reading up, they've been talking about a couple of lakes that have just, like you say, disappeared. And we were talking about blue holes last night on Freaky Friday, but this is something different. It's like sinkholes, but the water just instantly drains, and where it goes, nobody knows. And it sounds like something similar you're describing there, you know? Big time.
Yeah, it's always.
Now, Luna, is there any old maps or anything like that you know of that show this version of Australia? Not that I'm doubting you, just so that maybe we can look into it even further, you know?
If you look nowadays, have a look and go in, you'll see it's starting to come back again. So if you get a map of Australia, I usually go Google Zoom, whatever, and you go down and you'll see in the middle there's a big blue thing and it's starting to grow. So the water's coming back. We all knew that, but where it went in the first place, I don't know.
Okay, so here's a map that I'm looking at here, and this is based on Thomas Maslin's book from 1833. That certainly seems to show an Australia with an inlet and the kind of stuff you're talking about, right?
Yeah, that's different to what I was. Yeah, that's different. But there was inland sea because we got a place called Mungo. It used to be a big trading place, and now it's a desert.
That was one of the original shows I did. I think the one I did with Dan, we spoke about Mungo Man and that being the
Yeah.
oldest.
Yeah, I remember the
that's-
Mungo Man. Yeah, that's right.
It used to be a fertile place and trading with all mobs.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so things went on.
Big
So if
thing.
you just want to get up that picture, Kev, of there's a picture of a map I sent you with a
Yep.
triangle.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
what-
Is it that one? Or that one? Hang on, I'll get it up. Yep. I think it's that one. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's it there.
Yeah, so do you want to explain that?
All right, the thing about
the
that. So Brother Donnie will explain the Gosford stuff. That's that pink dot there. And I came in from the other end searching around for stuff. What I actually was searching for was proof of megalithic buildings in Australia. So I went searching for big square cut rocks. I found them up in the top corner of the triangle.
That's the video I sent you,
that
Kev.
area there. When I found them, I just kept looking. And the Mount Yango there is where Creator landed. That's a flat top mountain. It's a huge flat top mountain, and Creator landed on that mountain. So that's in line with everything else. So then I come down on the inland side of that triangle, and I found old fella in the mountain. And we always knew about the old fellas in the mountain, but I thought they were laying down, and that's why the mountains go like that. And some of them are, but there's one standing upright like this as well. And I found one of them. And then I was talking to Brother Donnie. He told me all about Gosford. I started looking around there, and I found all sorts of stuff from there. And then I realised, shit, if you come up in the air like we do, it made a big triangle, and there's stuff everywhere there.
Now, Jess, did you say that's the video that you'd sent me?
Yeah, they're the square cut megalithic rocks.
Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'll go and pull this from here. Yeah, it's at downloading now. It might take a couple of seconds.
It's pretty big. I have trouble seeing it.
Sorry about that. That's old tech. I took that years ago. Old tech, and I'm not very technological.
Don't you worry about it. It's starting to send through now. It'll only take a couple of seconds. It's coming. And then we'll play it. Because I want to see this. This is Now, when you say that the old men in the mountains, are you talking about... Is there lore over there that some of the ancients have, like, literally... We're talking giants and become hills?
Yep.
Yep.
Now, don't think I'm not laughing at that. The only reason I kind of know about that is because Joe Joseph's wife, Ange, she's really into something called the Mud Fossil University, and it talks about that kind of thing. You know, I'm gonna try and open this now, see what happens here. There we go. Okay, I'll bring this onto the stream. Give me a second.
That's what it looks like from the air. That's how I found it, because it looks like kind of like a lizard. Then I went in.
Give me 2 seconds, Luna, and I'll get it onto the screen so people can see it. Now I've lost all of you in the call as well. Where the heck did you go? Hang on. Oh my word. It's usually the guest that breaks everything, but today it's me. Hang on. I'll find yous. Or will I? Hang on, I'll bring this video up first, that's what I'll do.
Wasn't make it.
No, definitely not, Ken, definitely not. It's all my doing. Hang on.
No, it is, but you know.
Display capture. There we go.
It's me.
New one. Hold on, guys. Get this in here. There we go. There's this video that Luna's and Jess have been talking about, and then I'll get Skype sorted in a little second. All good, we'll get there. At least it's not as bad as the other night on TFR when it was cutting off all the time, you know? It was a nightmare.
I felt so bad for you,
Oh,
Kev.
I was losing the will to live, Jess. I really was.
Oh, no.
Here we go.
You ain't got Skype, eh? I ain't Skype.
So this here that we're looking at, we're looking at
This is from the air. We're
Okay.
looking at the top of a flat mountain. I found it because it looks kind of like a lizard. And as I moved in, I realised, oh my God, they're big square-cut rocks.
That's weird
And
looking, isn't it?
They make the shape of a lizard. It could be
Whoa.
what they call. I've heard those things called star forts, and I thought, oh, it could be one of them, but it's shaped like a lizard. And what I didn't get, because I never thought anyone would be interested in this stuff. The valley across from the valley, there's a snake on the other side of the valley, exactly the same, square-cut rocks. But I never took any evidence of that. I just found these ones.
That is,
The only ones I found.
that's pretty impressive, by the way.
So that's like a smoking gun for something built here that.
It looks like even, yeah, it could be some kind of structure inside the hill, you know?
Could have been a star fort.
Yeah.
I mean, well.
I can definitely see what you're meaning though, Luna. You can kind of see the lines where it goes across, like it continues and things.
That part there, they're hairy men, by the way.
Oh,
And
Yeah, you can see the hairy man.
there's like statue-shaped figures as well around there as well. I don't know if they're on that. But there's more than just those square things. There's like a statue-cut things and just things that shouldn't be there. They
Now,
just shouldn't be.
This area, traditionally, is this an area steeped in history? Yeah?
I wouldn't have a clue.
No.
I know it's all up in the mountains. They're hairy men in the background too. It's all up in the mountains. To actually get in there, I had a look. You have to hike right in, and I'm too old to do that stuff now.
Luna, I was wondering about how the Yowies, the hairy men, got on during the bushfires. Like, they must have had to get out of there before
Yeah, they retreated underground.
Yeah, yeah.
They
to
had
have some
casualties
safe
as well.
spot.
Yeah, they had casualties as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This is the first time we're allowed to talk about them. Oh.
Yeah, I know. That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what's that, hang on, right, wait a minute now. What's the first time you're allowed to talk about that?
Hairy men.
Well, hairy man.
Okay, now, like, hairy man? I mean, I'm hairy man, but I'm not a hairy man. So,
Yeah.
I heard a hairy man all my life, yeah.
Ken, I wish I had a haircut like you these days. I'm telling you, I've got like curls coming out the back of this and things. It's horrendous.
Mine's getting too long.
We're talking about the Yowie, Kev.
Is that what we're talking about? Right, I thought we were talking about some kind of classification of warrior or clever man. I'm thinking, what's the hairy man do? Does he cut their hair or something? You know how I roll.
Sometimes a different haircut, but, you know, the same guy.
So,
Actually, there's a picture there, Kev, I sent through to you of a Yowie man. That was the photo I was trying to send through to you in the last show that kept freezing up my computer.
is that it there?
So I could, yeah, that's it there.
Top one? Okay, I'll bring that up.
Now, Donnie sent me that photo, so he can tell you about this photo. But have a look at the dude in the background there.
What is that?
Oh, wow.
That's an Nimban. That's an Nimban. Nimban, little people.
Whoa!
Like Judge
There's little ones and big ones.
Like the judge.
Yeah, small one, big one.
So Jason will be interested in this
Big
because he
time.
was asking me.
I've heard they're down this way too, off a friend, yeah.
Yeah, it looked more like an
Won't
Ewok.
show me where they are. I said I only want to take a photo. No, you're not going there. and
Each one of my these little kids up in the bush.
Sorry, Donnie. What was
They
that?
love playing with little children.
They
These little
love
hairy
playing
men.
with little children. So,
yeah,
what's the kind of history? What's the kind of story here? I mean, where do these come into play?
We live with
Story,
them.
Uncle.
Oh, this photo here was taken. The cameraman didn't even know he was there. And years later, these people, some of these people are still alive today, didn't realise he was behind them. That's the sad story of that photo.
Whoa!
That was taken in 1939. not too far away from where Bungo Man was found.
That's intense.
We live with them, Kev. We got camping laws for them. You're not allowed to cook after at dark because if you cook the meat, they'll come and take your food. Girls aren't allowed to go away from camp at that time of the moon cycle.
Yeah.
What other law we got for them? Yeah, they're part of our life.
So is it generally a good relationship, Luna, or?
I've heard they're mischievous. They're
They are the mischievous.
Yowie. Yeah.
Yeah. They'll come into your camp, take all your tuck and mess your camp up.
Yeah. I've heard that.
That's what my uncle used to say about them.
Tucker means food.
Cheeky buggers.
My
Unexplained.
lord, my lord. What did I say at the start of this show? I said, I got a funny feeling this is going to be something different. Whoa. Honestly,
There is another photo, Kev, but I'm trying to find it. It's a photo at a mission. All the men folk are there. And this Yowie wanted to be in the photo, so they dressed him up in a three-piece suit so he could be in the photo. You can actually see him in the photo.
Wowzers, you need to get a hold of that. I need to see that, Donnie. Come on, man. You can't just tease me wings like that. But this year again, if I come back here, and that is
There's another photo also of Hairy Man or Yowie ready to have corroboree with the old elders out towards Walgett Way.
Hey, brother, what about that ad that you showed me the other day with the fella in the background?
What's that?
Remember you sent it to me? It was an ad for some tank, a water tank.
Yeah. They reckon that's a hoax. But to look at it, looks like a hairy man. It's on Narrabri Shire Council water supply.
Yeah.
what was this?
But if you have a look at it when he walks, because they lift their feet up higher than us, because their hips are a little bit different, and they've got to lift their feet up higher than we do, like marching. But for them, it's normal walking.
Wow. My mind's blowing. Absolutely blowing.
Find it on YouTube called Narrabri Shire Council water supply.
Okay, what's the name of it?
Narrabri Shire Council. Narrabri.
Need to spell
Narrabri.
spell out for us, will you?
Narrow, so Narrow.
O-W, yeah.
Bride, is it? Bride?
No, it's Arribri.
Narrow Bride?
Oh, Narrabri.
Narrow Bry.
Right. Shire Council water supply.
There we go. Narrow
Yeah, our town name's a bit funny, Kev, compared to yours.
What?
They're great. I love them. I lived in places like Tangambalanga and Toowoomba and Kandandra and
See if somebody can type it in the chat, in the Skype chat. I'll be able to get it, probably. Maybe.
Yeah, another thing I want to tell you, we're taught where there's small trees and brush, you get the little people. Where there's tall trees, you get the big 7-8 foot tall ones.
oh, that's good to know. Wow.
So so this is like two different types of. This is two different types of hairy man. Then is that what we're saying? Yeah. The wee ones.
Well, one's big, one's tall. It's like saying me and you, Kev, are little, and Donnie, and someone tall. We're different, but we're the same but different.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called Narrabri Shire Council water supply.
Yeah, that's it.
Barn water supply by Narrabri Shire Council.
Ban.
Can you type it in, Dobby, to the...
It's like me and a big tall Irish man, you know.
Ban.
Lots of tall Irish people here, and I'm like a midget hobbit, you know, compared to the mountain.
Oh, we're all
men.
small.
Yeah, we're all vertically
That's another
challenged.
thing I found when I was looking for all those megalithic blocks. Everywhere I found anomalies, I found hairy men. So they still occupy our ceremonial grounds, and they still occupy those really, really old places.
This,
Close to song
this-
lines.
this claims here to be the call of a Yowie. I don't know, hang
No,
on.
this.
I can do one. You want to hear it?
Hang on. Yeah, there's nothing happening on there, and a Yowie's never going to cry out, "What's your name?" So, come on,
And
Ken, hit us with your
They
Yowie.
imitate. They
Okay,
imitate
this is
the
what a
altar
Yowie
and
sounds like. Okay, a little bit, but it's sort of like. Sort of like that. Yeah.
That's close enough to it.
That's close enough.
That's
Someone goes,
terrifying.
I sounded like
Imitate
a
other animals.
So, Luna, I think you did you.
I've heard a few, but I've never seen any. I used to hear them when I was a teenager, and they'd play tricks on me, and I'd go where I heard the sound, and they'd be right over the other side of the valley all of a sudden, and it was like, wow. And it used to sound like two tree trunks being bashed together. They used to make these loud banging sounds. And
Yeah, we could. I mean, I know the Bigfoot researchers I've had on, they call that like tree knocking, and I think they try that. But Luna, were you saying that they try to imitate humans?
Yes, they
They
will.
imitate. Yeah, sorry,
So-
but that's,
so
yeah,
that-
they do. They imitate other sounds.
So that video might not be ridiculous then, with a Yowie saying, "What's your name?"
Yeah, that's true. They can read.
Hang on
can
then.
do
Let's see
English,
what
they
this
also
says.
can do-
It's only on for a minute.
They can speak our language.
Yeah,
they're
we'll see what
probably
it says.
psychic, yeah. Very psychic or something.
I think there's.
Oh! What?
Let's see.
I thought that was the person at first. I don't think it is.
No.
See if some crazy drunk Australian jumps out from behind this tree and makes me shite myself. I'm not gonna be happy.
I'll tell you something.
I'm a lad or something. Yeah.
We had a property near Mount Yango that was on that triangle, and there were hairy fellas there, and everything was all beautiful, and we had a lot of good, strange stories that come out of that place. But what happened, we were living there in harmony, but the guy that we were sharing the property with, when we went there, he was a male witch, and he did magic on that ground. We came back, and that night the hairy man started knocking all the trees down, and you could hear him just go crash, crash, crash. And I said to my old man, we're out of here, we've got to let go of this property, because we knew that whatever that fella did, the hairy mans were cranky at, and bad things were going to happen there. And they did, and we left. We just left.
The bastard, he caused that shit for you, you know, and it wasn't your fault.
Male
Like,
witches,
hairy man,
hairy
the guy
men,
who-
giant eels. Whoa, I'm telling you. Am I glad I got up early to do this today? Right then, let me get my.
Yeah, Nessie.
Now,
All right, so if we're talking about megalithic sites,
yes,
it
yeah.
probably is a good time to segue into the Gympie Pyramid.
Look at Jess.
Yeah.
Look at the professional. Yeah, she'll keep us on track. Thank you, Jess.
And
Thank you.
creative experience.
Thanks, Jess.
So then, who wants to talk about the
For
Gympie?
my professional caravan site. I'm living at Trailer Park Boys style here. You know. At least I got the pictures.
The
me
Gympie
back up.
Pyramid in Queensland is is a pyramid. Its official story is that it's a agriculturally terraced structure that was built not long after colonisation. But I mean, look at it. Honestly, that sounds absolutely ridiculous to just about everybody that's ever seen this pyramid or been to this site. The locals around there have got quite a significant amount of artefacts that they have found over the years in and around the pyramid. They've found Egyptian hieroglyphs. There's something like 400 inscribed rocks that have been found. It seems a little bit far-fetched for a hoax, and they still find more all the time. And they've found that there's a video I sent you. It's only 3 minutes long. You don't have to play all of it. But there's some really good information in that. It's like a lot of information condensed into like 3 minutes. So, yeah, and that guy, there's actually some inscriptions that he has gone and deciphered as well. And there's a bit of a story on some of them as well. So, yeah, it's just really fascinating, really interesting. There are a few sites like this. There's another place called Tin Can Bay that apparently there used to be a pyramid on that site and they bulldozed it and they've put a military base there now. The Gympie Pyramid, I'm not sure if it has been bulldozed yet or whether it is said to be bulldozed.
Part of it has, yeah. I've got a friend who's there.
Yeah.
Yes,
so these structures do exist in Australia, but it seems like there's a concerted effort being made to bulldoze them, put other structures there, put roads. In the case of the Gympie Pyramid, they're going to put a road right through it. Yep. And so to me it's like, well, why are you going out of your way sort of thing to ensure that these places are destroyed? So, yeah, if you want to...
There's no reason for the road to go through that area either. They go right around it. You know,
that's right.
So what do the locals say about it then? Do they think it's obviously ancient? Yeah, they don't buy into the... Right, let's take a little listen to this. Very interesting.
Has its fair share of mysteries, like who really made the Bradshaw paintings in the Kimberley, or which ancient inhabitants carved out the Ewanninga petrographs in Central Australia. And in Gympie, Queensland, some locals believe a small hill on the edge of town is actually an Egyptian pyramid. Mike Dale has been scouring the Gympie Pyramid for years, looking for signs of an ancient civilization.
You see there's a chisel mark, and there's another chisel mark there, and almost a line straight through there, as if somebody's been going to carve this into a nice squared off stone. It's possible that these two units may have had water in them, may have been used for reflective, looking at the stars, and the whole thing could have been some sort of lunar observatory. Quite a few locals that have known about the area for a long time. And of course, back in the 70s, when a certain person announced to the world that he'd found Australia's lost pyramid, pretty much everyone around Gympie had come here and had a look at the place.
My wife and I went up there in October 1975, and I realised the hill had 4 sides and that there were 4 rows of 18 terraces, 4 foot high and about 18 foot across. This led me to the conclusion that we were looking at an Egyptian Old Kingdom period, a step pyramid, based on these and other glyphs that I found on small rocks that were lying scattered around rubble.
Most people who are the bloodthirsty type think it was for sacrificial purposes, but seeing as the hole doesn't go all the way through the rock, we're not sure what it was for. Whoa. We found a lot of this metallic material, very rough, looks like it's been molten, totally magnetic. Yeah, we think they were actually trying to extract the iron from the rough ore here. Unfortunately, we haven't found anything which can indicate which particular people came here and did this. There was an unusual item found. It's made of a very, very hard stone. There doesn't appear to be any other sort of matching items from any other cultures that we can figure out.
Oh, 65, I don't lift things like I did at 25. This one is the memorial tablet of Amtet, who had died. He was some official, and it basically reads in Egypto-Phoenician script, Horus, rise up and carry or guide the soul of the dead official Naqar Tebet to his tomb of stone.
In Australia? Phoenician? What?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
When
not
it comes to
right.
Gympie, we have some 400 or so relics that we found there, and as far as I'm concerned, these relics are very ancient. They're rock inscriptions, so I don't think they were carved by hoaxes yesterday. And as far as I'm concerned, all this evidence is overwhelming to show that Gympie was the site of an Egypto-Phoenician gold and other mineral mining centre.
Some people believe in it, some people try and debunk it. Just because the Dutch found Australia's west coast and Cook and others found the east coast doesn't mean to say that other cultures prior couldn't have come here first.
Oh, good. Exactly, my friend. Wow, good call,
That's
Jess.
what I believe. Boats have been around since the beginning of civilization. Of course they went everywhere.
Yeah. Yep. And so,
Tartarian Empire, I'm right into that. But
so
that's another
are the locals kind of trying to fight back against the Gympie, getting like bulldozed and roads going through and things like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Even our mob is trying to fight for it.
Mm.
You'd think, I mean, even if you bought into their bullcrap story, right, that it was from colonial times or whatever, it's still got historic value. You know, it's like,
That's right.
it's just insane.
Big country, they want to do shit there. I mean, what? You know?
It's insane.
All places in Australia, and they have to go.
So how does this place connect to the Gosford glyphs?
Donnie?
There's got to be a
the
connection.
stone-
Yeah, there's got to be a
stone.
connection between like a pyramid, hieroglyphs, Phoenician, and the Gosford glyphs. Would you say?
And there's also a Australian
ring.
Stonehenge, Kev, as well at Mullumbimby that I sent you a photo of.
Jess,
while
I
we're on
almost got lost looking at that photo when I came across it. Well, I'm going to bring that up in a moment. Yeah, this is going to blow people's mind, but my head's gone. That's blowing. But Donnie, what do you think then? Are these all connected? Same people, same thing going on?
I think it goes back a lot further than the Egyptians.
Yep.
Probably way back. There's a little bit of truth about the Atlantis.
Lemuria and Atlantis, yeah, and that
Lemuria, Atlantis.
there's a ring that's been found as well in New South Wales that's been found to be made of orichalcum. So, and as we know, orichalcum is associated with Atlantis. So,
And I know that nowadays, I could be wrong, but aren't the Chinese and people like that after some of the rare earth metals and minerals that Australia's got? So that tells me
Look
that
at
you've got
Kangaroo Island.
that tells
uranium.
me you've got a country that is it's full of the kind of stuff that these ancient civilizations, they were obsessed with mining these things for some reason. Do you think that's what attracted them over there, Luna?
Gold.
All I know, Kev, one mob up top, in the old days, the Chinese used to come and fish with us, so we knew them back then.
Yep.
And they
I heard this.
break law at fishing time because they said you can only fish at certain times of the year. And they break the law, so we got a joke, all us black fellas, we all like Chinese, because them mob up top as punishment for breaking LORE law, they killed them, hung them up in the tree and ate them.
Wow.
Yellow pig.
It's a joke now, so if you mention Chinese, we all start laughing.
Yeah, we love China.
Sorry if anyone's Chinese.
Here's this stone site that I have never clapped eyes on before. What on earth am I looking at?
But that was before the Chinese were communists. They used to be very friendly once, you know, like they used to be.
Yeah.
Oh, they're beautiful
This
people.
story.
They could travel and give gifts to every country they'd come across. They were like the big boat farers of the ancient times. And yeah. Things changed anyway. Yeah. Sorry, Kev, I digressed.
No, you're all right, man. It adds to it, dude. It adds to it.
Richie from Boston, I digress, you know.
I could quickly add to that. There's a petroglyph in the desert, and it's got a red-sailed ship, and that was part of the Chinese, I think, or the Phoenicians. I'm not quite sure yet, because it had red sails. What we're looking at here is Stonehenge. The farmer who owned that land ordered them to knock it down, and you can see in some other photos where they're fallen down. But Brother knows more about this stuff.
Well, the story with this. The story with these ones here, it was bulldozed down because the government didn't want to know anything about it, because it tells the story of what was, what is, and what will be. It's older than Stonehenge, and the government don't want anything to do with it. What's that?
Is that gone now?
Yeah, it's bulldozed down.
Oh my God.
You're back in
that was back in the 1940s.
I'm going to nip to the toilet in a second, but I can't miss this bit. I can't miss this because this is now. Let's calm down. Let's hold on, right, Donnie? You're telling me that this is basically like a timeline from the start to the end.
Yeah, what is, what was, what is, and what will be. It's all been written down. Stephen Evans Stronger got the manuscript for it and knows exactly where every stone goes. It was bulldozed because the government were frightened that because we were treated as terra nullius.
Oh, they don't want real history.
We were just primitives.
Destroy history.
Shouldn't have things like that. But that's older than Stonehenge. It's been dated older than Stonehenge.
Wow.
Probably about another 2,000 years.
Wow.
Speechless.
Crickets.
Yeah.
He's processing.
Yeah, right. I'm going to go to the toilet. I'll be back in 1 minute. I'll let you guys carry on the conversation.
Nothing to see here when they try to erase history, is there? You know.
There you go. I'll leave that picture on the screen just now. It'll be 1 minute.
Go for it, Kev. No worries. So I guess, again, that's just showing, again, the fact that it's been bulldozed. Why do they continually try and erase these sites, you know, whilst simultaneously attempting to debunk them all as well at the same time? It's like, you can't really have it both ways, you know?
They were the smart ones on Earth and everyone else was stupid, you know, and it wasn't that way, you know. Everyone was smart.
Guys, I didn't actually know about this site at all until you sent it through to me, Luna. Is this isn't a photo then, is it? This is a recreation?
This is a recreation, 3D recreation.
Yes.
Right, so when did they bulldoze it?
Back in
1939.
Yeah.
1939.
The guy the rich white fella who bought all the land and then said it's all his now, he obviously was high up and he knew what it meant. And the thing is, they came in, the rest of the world was already reset. They came here, we weren't reset, we were still doing what we were doing. All those things they found were still of the old world, and they already had a reset everywhere else, so they had to get rid of them. They had to get rid of us because we're one of the root races that still have the truth, and all our truth was all over the land, and they're still to this day trying to get rid of everything. But they
That's
can't.
why they tried to destroy your language, you know.
Everything. They tried to destroy everything. That's what the stolen generations are about. They tried to rip us apart. The Native Americans have a really good saying. They tried to destroy us and cut us down, but we were seeds and we grew up from the ground.
I like that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. The red fellas say that. But that's basically what that was.
When you look at it from that perspective, it makes sense, doesn't it, that they're trying to, what they're doing to all these sites.
Yeah, and they're trying to do another reset on the whole world again. Hello, and it won't work because where we are right now today, talking right now about this old stuff. So unless they kill most of the population, that won't happen. We're still here, so it's living proof it won't happen.
So whereabouts in Australia is this? Whereabouts is it?
Donnie?
A place called Mullumbimby.
Mullumbimby, that's
Beyond
right.
Byron Bay.
Good.
Where's Mullumbimby, guys? Is that New South Wales?
You're behind Byron Bay.
Yeah, I've heard of Byron Bay, yeah.
Hill.
Oh, I've been there, yeah.
Yeah, I've been up there. Good place up there.
So,
Yeah, that's where.
how many other stone circles and structures are out there in Australia? Because it's massive, right? Australia's huge.
Not many.
There
The
was some
companies
they
buy
got
them, get rid of them.
Okay,
as
guys,
well.
need to try not to talk over one another. So we'll go Donnie first, and then we'll get Ken, right?
There was some up at Gympie. There was some down in Victoria. But when white settlement came through, they pulled them down.
Wow.
Yeah. You can find bits and pieces and some drawings of them, but that's it, all you can find. No photos, no nothing.
Ken, what's your thoughts on these? Have you been to the place where this one was?
I've been through it, but I didn't know that existed. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I've only been as far as, Queensland and South Australia.
So Jess, when you're in school, right? I mean, much of this stuff do you get taught?
None of it.
Or are you
have
on
to
like
literally...
you on pretty much a British curriculum, the same as the rest of us?
Absolutely, yeah. And these sorts of things are not even up for discussion. And I was talking to Uncle about it yesterday because he works with archaeologists. He's a sites officer. So he goes out and finds archaeological sites and that. And trying to talk to them and trying to make them understand Aboriginal perspective on things and spiritual significance of sites and how those things are actually important to getting the overall story out there. It's like banging your head up against a brick wall. These people are so indoctrinated and so programmed to view things only a specific way, very physically, very, practically, and that's it sort of thing. So
yeah, they're not paid to think; they're paid to repeat. And the better that people can repeat the official narrative, the better you do in life academically.
Yeah. I guess it's like a microcosm of society, really. I mean, you start talking about these sorts of things in archaeological circles, you get ridiculed, you get shut down pretty quickly, you get stereotyped as fringe and, pseudoscientist. And basically, if you talk too much, you won't get a career, you won't have a career because word travels really fast through universities and they're quite tight-knit groups, archaeological departments and universities. So Tan and I learned early on to keep our mouths shut because we quickly realised we weren't going to have much of a career if we didn't. And that's the sad part is that if you want to be an archaeologist but you're interested in this stuff, it's like you've pretty much got to choose one or the other.
That must be frustrating as hell, though.
Yeah, I think things are slowly changing. But yeah, it's just a waiting game at the moment. Got to wait for those oldies set in their ways to sort of start dying off.
That's it. When you've got archaeologists.
Jessica,
On you go, Ken.
Jessica, have you ever seen any signs of giants that existed once, or?
No, I haven't personally. No, but Luna has a lot of the dirt on giants. So, and I think there were some things we didn't get to last show. Is that right, Luna? That you wanted to maybe add?
Oh, wow.
I think I only told you one story about giants, the red-headed giants, and that's all I told.
That was it. Yeah.
I'm obsessed by them anyway.
Little people usually are. Quickly before,
I'm a short ass and giants scare me. Yeah.
quickly before we change to giants, in that triangle where I live, it crosses where I live. And when the settlers first came to this area in Mulgoa, which is just behind me in that direction, they found the guy who bought that property, as he was clearing it up for his cows, find Egyptian stuff there. And that was documented in one document, and that was it, and it was all
So are
forgotten.
you right near Sydney then, Luna? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm. If you follow that triangle on the bottom as it goes across, it goes straight through where I live. It says Penrith there, but I live on the other side of the river. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, see what it says Penrith. I'm inside that, and Mulgoa's right on that line.
Yeah. Campbelltown. We've got a Campbelltown over here as well. It's not too far from where I am. Giants. Let's get into the giants. Yeah.
So from where I live in that direction over the mountains, there's actually a giant's camp, and there's giant grinding stones and things like that from the old days. Tourists can go visit them. But recently I tried to get a hold of where it was and that, and the tourist thing that they had up a couple of years ago, but it's gone now because everything like that's disappearing. But we have stories about the giants, as you know. So one of them is an account of two fellas looking over a sand hill, and there was a black fella giant, and he was spinning hair to make string, to make dilly bags like what I make.
Yeah.
And they were having a conversation, and in this account it tells you how the giants eat people. And I found another account overseas where people were digging up stuff, and they found a heap of bones, but they couldn't figure out why all the heads were in one place and all the bodies and arms were in the other. And I think they were knights, but I couldn't find that now either, but I know the story. And the story that blackfellas accounts goes, you got to watch out for the giants. If they catch you, they take your heads off, they'll eat your arms and body, and they leave it for last because that's the tastiest, and they put it in a separate pile.
There's a lot of these stories about giants doing that kind of thing, so much so that I have to think there's a little bit of it has to come from truth, you know?
In that triangle too, just where I live, is Byami's footprint, and that's a giant footprint. I sent a similar picture like that.
Yeah, there's another photo there, Kev, with the outline of Byami's footprint. Now, Byami is the male. Is that the male version of God, Luna?
Yeah, the creator. Yeah.
Creator.
So if you have
that's our
there,
creator.
yeah, that's Katoomba, and there's the mountains and the Three Sisters, and that are up there. And his actual toes make the drop of the Katoomba Mountains there, but his foot goes all the way back, as you can see.
Oh wow! I've just seen it there. I was looking at the actual line, but you can see the actual line.
Yeah, it's inside the line. There is toes. Now I was looking for the second footprint, right? I thought Creator giant footprint. Couldn't find a second footprint. Talking to Brother Donnie here in one of our big long yarns we have, and he was telling me the story about Byami having one leg.
No.
And there's Byami's footprint, one footprint. And Byami had a son.
Yeah, because he cut his other leg off to make man.
There it is.
Whoa.
So
what's the myth behind Uluru Rock? You know,
Yeah.
Uluru is the heart. Uluru
that's
is
what it's like, isn't it? It's right in the centre of Australia. It's like amazing.
It's such a magical place. I'm going to write a story.
It's a portal for sure.
Yeah, we went there and the whole thing from beginning to end.
I never agreed with people walking on it. Even when I was a kid, I was going, no, that place seems special. You shouldn't be walking on it, you know.
Let me get let me come to Luna. Let me get you first, and I'll go round everyone for their thoughts on this, because this is like I would imagine the most significant site, right? And everyone around the world, I would hope, would recognise this instantly, and it's so out of place, it's so just out there. So Luna, your thoughts on this Uluru, what does it say to you?
Oh, like I was saying, Kev, it actually called me in a dream. Our people, we paint our stories. If we don't write a poem or do a dance or sing a song, we paint our stories. And I'm not a painter, but I had to paint my story about Uluru. And it's a very long story, but basically Uluru called out to me and I got taken there and certain things happened. And when I woke up from that journey, because I was here when it happened, I said to my husband, I've got to go, Uluru's calling me. So for some reason, everything we needed just came together and we made a trip to Uluru. And everything in the dream came out true. And a lot of other things happened. That's where there's so many stories from there. I hope in future shows I get to tell you.
Is that where you seen the UFO?
No, that was
no, different place. Different place.
By Army's Footprints where I saw the UFO. This place here is really special. Before I even saw it, I felt it, and I was doing something, and I just looked up and I felt it, and I said to my husband, I can feel it, I can feel it. And even though it looks flat, you're actually going up a hill when you get there.
Luna, for me, this looking at that holds the same feelings as I get when I look at the pyramids. It's feelings I don't often get. It's almost like a drawing, like a pulling, a calling. I don't know, it's weird. But it's the only that in the pyramids that do it.
Yeah, well, the energy around that is like that, Kev. And basically, I got there, laid on her, and just cried my heart out, and it felt like my link to home. It was like I went home, and that while I was there, I didn't want to leave. When I left, I was crying, and a big rainbow came, and that means that she was crying too.
Wow. So, Ken, let me get your thoughts on this thing. What's your thoughts on it, man?
It definitely isn't a mountain, you know. It's definitely not part of the land. It's like
it goes underground. Yeah,
bedded there, you know. It's like it's just not. It's a rock, you know, in the ground, you know, which a mountain isn't, you know. It's and then you got, you know, I believe in the ancient trees, how they're chopped down and now they look like petrified, you know, like in Idaho and all that.
Yeah.
And Devil's Tower, you know, used in Close Encounters. But this is nothing like that, you know. It's not a tree cut down. It's a definite, the most, you know, I haven't seen anything like it ever, you know.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. What does it say to you then, Donnie?
Well, the story I was told about it was the old gods one day threw a giant spear that hit the earth and cracked open all the lands around it, and which drifted apart. And from that rock came all the animals you got around the world today. That's the story was told to me. I believe that white fellas call it Panspermia.
Yeah, Panspermia, yeah.
Story of Panspermia.
Yes.
If you go down 3 kilometres, it is actually shaped like a spear.
So this possibly came flying in from space at some point, came in with DNA, biological stuff on it, and bada bing, bada boom, all the animals in the room.
Yes.
Yep.
The gods were here, yeah.
Yeah, the old gods, because in the old story, when that hit, it cracked open all the land mass and made all the continents all around the world when it hit. That's the story I was told.
I mean, you look at it there, folks. I mean, you look at it. Look how barren and flat it is all around it. You could almost, you know, picture that landing, exploding, and just woof. It's flattened everything, just like you can see there, as far as the eye can see, you know. It's nuts. What's it say to you then, Jess? What's your thoughts on it? When are we going to get you and Dan digging it?
Oh, one day, Kev, maybe. So I I have a feeling that it's a portal. I don't know. That's what I've always thought, that it is some form of portal. I've heard stories that it connects to Rainbow Serpent, that it's the beginning point of Rainbow Serpent, and it begins there, and Rainbow Serpent crosses the entire world. I think I've shown you a map of Rainbow Serpent and what's the other one? The Plume Serpent, which is the male version, the two energy currents that run across the earth. So it's said that Rainbow Serpent began there, his journey, and ends there as well, and that he actually is, her place of rest now. So I just found a little bit of information here. It is considered a sacred site for the Anangu people, and it's, so to them they're not just rocks, they're actually living, breathing cultural landscapes that are incredibly sacred, and they're known as being the resting place for the past ancient spirits of the region. So that's what my knowledge of it, my understanding of it. And also I've heard from an Indigenous person, and also Luna agrees with this, that they believe that portals are opening across the earth at the moment, and that Uluru will be the catalyst, like the first opening that will then set off the other openings of the other portals. Now, I don't know heaps about that. That's just something that I've heard from people, from Indigenous people. They seem to all know it. They seem to all intuitively know it. So when I was mentioning it in our conversation yesterday on Skype with Uncle Donnie and Sister Luna, Luna was like, "How do you know about that? How do you know?"
I was very surprised. I need to say, I met Andrew Uluru. He's one of the custodians of Uluru. Near Uluru is called the Olgas, and it's counterpart to that. And we can't talk about Uluru without talking about the Olgas, because everything has to be balanced, and male and female, men's business, women's business, So if you just near that is called the Olgas, you can actually see it from there, but they haven't got it in that shot. It's just as an important place, but not as well known.
Well, you mentioned the men's and women's business there, and I've got a note here that says Luna's woo story about the men's site, and then Donnie's got a story about the women's site. So, Luna, I have to come to you first for your one. What's going on there?
Okay. Well, in the future, I'll have more stuff about men and women's sites. And there's different sites. There's where they hang out. There's where they did serious business. And there's where they just did their stuff and taught others. So there's all different places of men and women's sites. Some are more special than others. But where I live near here, when I first moved here, I didn't know where men and women's sites were, and because it's not like the old days, the only way I could find out is to get out and have a look where I live. So this particular day, I had a female dog, my daughters and me, all women. We're walking down the river, and I thought, we'll go up there and see what's up there. So we're walking along, and all of a sudden we all stopped still, and we all felt really weird. And I looked at the girls and went, shit, there's something wrong. As we turned around and looked where we come, it's like the pathway disappeared and the trees came together like that and covered everything else, and we were in a different place. Now, I saw that happen and I thought, hang on a minute, because PPP. I thought, hang on a minute, question that. And what convinced me that shit was happening, I looked down at my dog and she turned around to me and went, like you see in the movies, and I looked at the dog and went, oh, shit, we're in trouble. She's reacting to it too. And I didn't want to scare the girls, and then I just said to Creator, I'm sorry, I don't know where I am. And then I realised where I was straight away, because we try not to put fear, because you can't fear in the bush because your life depends on it. And then I realised, shit, I'm in men's sight. So I just started saying, hello, this is who I am. I'm really sorry to the ancestors and all that. And as I started saying that, the trees pulled apart and the pathway appeared again, and the dog started wagging a tail and running up the pathway, and I'm going, come on, girls, let's get out of here. And the reason it's really important, it's that strong. You can get sick and horrible things can happen to you from women being in men's places. fortunate for me personally, I haven't had it, but I know others that have had really bad times of going to men's places.
Wow. So,
oh, I believe that. Wow.
So, Donnie,
I've been in places where I felt I shouldn't be. And
so that's what I was going to actually say. So if
been
me
a
and
woman's place.
yeah, if me and Ken, totally oblivious to all this stuff, walked into a woman's site, would we feel it? We might not know what it is, but would we feel something? Yeah.
Well, I think it
Yes, you
depends.
would.
Yeah, I think it depends on your personal intuition, because I was up in the rainforest up north, and there was a heap of us. I was the only black girl, but it didn't matter. They were really cool people. They were in tune. They lived on the land. So we're going for a walk. All us women are walking along, and then all of a sudden we realised it was quiet, and we turned around, and all the men had stopped dead in their tracks, and they're still talking. They got no idea. They were oblivious to what was going on, and they all stopped in a line, like there was this invisible line on the ground. And us women all stopped and looked at them, and we all just started laughing because we knew we just entered women's area, and it was a birthing area. So that was a gentle way, and the men unconsciously, and they were like, you know, they're hippies living in the bush for 20, 30 years, you know. They live with the black fellas up there, so they're pretty in tune people. They just automatically stopped dead. So nothing happened to them because they stopped. But some people aren't that smart. They go to women's areas, fellas do. They'll get sick, they'll get headaches, they'll vomit, they'll have problems. And the thing about it is you end up having reproduction problems too. So that's, you know, and I'll leave it up to brother now. He'll tell you the other half and he'll give you a better idea.
That's something to me.
So Donnie, what happened? What's the other way then? Ending up in women's ground.
Well,
Talk to us about that.
I was looking to do a site inspection out Manila way there. Anyway, me and another sites officer went out there. And as we came on the place, got out of the vehicle, and I started getting this headache. Then I started feeling really nauseated, and I started getting cramps in the guts, and I felt like I was going to spew. And as we kept walking into this site, I was starting to get really sick. And I turned to my workmate. I said, I think we're on a woman's site here. And he says, why is that? I said, I'm starting to get headache and cramps in the guts. And he said, so did I. And he said, I think we better go now. And he said, yeah, I think we better go now. And as we went out, we said sorry. And all the pains and aches all went away.
That is phenomenal. What can you say to that, Jess? I mean, what can you say to that? That is.
All I can say is I believe it.
Yeah.
To my experience that I spoke about last time on the show, I am definitely a believer. There are definitely some unseen powers that are still very, very active and strong today.
Now, one of the main things that kind of has come to me through synchronicity, doing these shows, is we talked about the stones at one point. I think it was the Gringa stone, something like that. Sharinga stone.
It's Gringa, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then here there's different types of stones. So, you use stones for different things, Donnie? Would that be men's business?
Yes, yeah. Right, we got a stone at work. It's put away lock and key because it's a elder stone. It's so actually worked by women. It's the shape of a big finger like that. And you hold it like this and you put your thumb on it like that, like you're aiming a rifle. It's the healing stone. And only women can use it because if men use it, they get bad vibrations. If you stick it up in the air like this and you get a dowsing rod, and you pull it over the top of it, it'll push the dowsing rod away. But you aim it like this, or aim it to the ground, the dowsing rod will come to it.
Whoa. That's energies interacting, different fields. Luna, you're
Yes.
nodding away there. I mean, is this common to you? Yeah, you're like, yeah, I know, but that's the finger stone, yeah.
Yeah, we go rock hunting. When I go rock hunting, it sounds boring.
So, Luna, what would differentiate one stone from another? does a clever man have to do something to it? Does it have to be made of a certain kind of composition? How does that work?
Yeah, we won't use that word. The spiritual hierarchy in our mob would fashion them male and female. They'd be made. They would have been made a really, really, really long time ago and handed down.
Wow.
Generation.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Now, so any other kinds of stones?
Yeah, there are killing stones.
Yes.
I'll let Donnie talk about that one.
There's killing stones, there's healing stones, there's knowledge stones, there's star rocks. There's quite a few of them.
You're going to tell them about the ones.
You never heard of Stephen Armstrong? They got over 170 special stones, from healing rocks right up to star stones.
I want to make
Most of these rocks are made out of silicon. And you know what silicon is? It's the same stuff that's used for computers.
Yep.
And
I've got one here. I've had it for over 15 years. I caught a bloodstone. It was, my two dogs got shot one night by hunters, and I found this stone on the road with their blood on it, and yeah, I've kept it ever since. And the night it happened, 2 giant UFOs went over me. I mean, the whole ground, everything in the whole area went red. 2 like giant luminous train carriages went over me with red orbs flashing, and yeah, the next day I found this stone, you know, where me dogs have been killed, and the hunters took me dogs, and I had witnesses who, yeah, anyway, I digress.
No, the stones, though, they do, I think they contain memories and things, so, no, I see where you're coming from, dude, and
this is sacred, yeah.
There are also stones, apparently, that, and I don't know much about these except for what Uncle told me, but apparently there are stones that are put inside people's bodies by the spiritual elders. I'm not quite sure as to the purpose of that, because we didn't quite get around to that. So, and I'm not sure if they even want to talk about that. So I apologise, guys, if I've said something that I'm not supposed to say.
No, that's all right, Jess. We'll just say that there are stones that get put in totem stones. So the old ones put them in your body, and you can have them put in your energy as well.
Wow. I've always, when you look back at, mentioned Stonehenge earlier, Jess, and I'm always watching, like, Ancient Aliens. Not hard to imagine the kind of stuff I watch, right? But I know there wasn't the kind of materials back then that we have today, but still, they were able to do everything with what they had. And there was so many different functions for these stones. There's so many different ways that stones are made up. The whole obelisk thing, I don't think it's a coincidence that they're high in quartz and silicon. You know, they were definitely, in my opinion anyway, something to do with power, electricity, transmitting it, receiving it. Stuff we don't understand. And I would imagine over in Australia, you know, that kind of information, Donnie, Luna, the kind of ancient stuff that we often try to speculate on here on the show, it's probably second nature to a lot of your people over there, the kind of stuff we talk about. But yeah, it seems like such a, we're uncovering new information over here. No, we're not. You know, in a way, we're a bit of a laughing stock because we're catching up to stuff that's been known all along, right?
Yes.
Look, Donnie's laughing. He's like, yeah, exactly, Baker. You are. You're catching up slowly.
Yes, you are. Very slowly, but you did.
Very slowly, but I'll get there. I'll get there, Donnie. So I'm going to come to you, Donnie. Give us a story about dingoes.
Well, Dingo is part of our family. Like, he's the only animal in the world, dog in the world, that hasn't got a base history. Like, there's no other dog that actually relates to him. He's only from Australia.
So he's only he's like an anomaly.
Yeah, they used him as like a walking blanket, a companion like today. A few other things. There is actually stories where a mother lost her child. They used to give her a dingo pup to suckle on.
Wow.
On her breast.
Donnie, was there a story you told me, was it yesterday that you told me after Luna was telling us about the Dingo Brothers story, you said you had a dingo story as well, a dreaming one, or?
Oh, now you got me. I've sort of lost it in my mind now.
you think about that, and that's okay.
Oh, sorry,
yeah.
Yes, I'm sort of.
Fine. It might come to you once Luna tells her story, because when it came to you yesterday was after Luna had told her story of the Dingo Brothers. Then you were like, oh yeah,
And
I've got
anyway,
one too.
I want to hear about the Dingo Brothers. I mean, come on, who doesn't want to hear about the Dingo Brothers? Come on, I mean, Luna, tell us what's going on here.
All right, the Dingo Brothers. Actually, it's about the snake fella. What was his name? Linga, the lizard man. And I think we sent you a picture of the cave that was his campground. So Linga the lizard man, he lived with the mob, and they were a bit wary of him, but he never ate meat. And he lived there for a long time with the mob, not eating meat. But one day he got really hungry and he couldn't help himself. He had to go out. So he went out and left his campsite and went out, and he found a dingo from the Dingo Brothers, because back then the animals were people, if you can understand that, but they were still like animals. Anyway, he ate one of the Dingo Brothers, and the other brothers found out about it and they hunted him down, but all that's left now is his campsite and the cave that he lived in.
So you're talking about a time when animals and humans lived more symbiotically in tune with one another?
Yes.
Yeah, because our tie, how can I put it? It's like we are our totems in a way. Oh shit! How do you explain this one?
Like metaphorically, Luna, like.
No, even in reality, because of our characteristics and that. Like I'll tell you, I'm a goanna snake woman, and I am like a goanna and a snake, right? And there's stories about them, and the way I am and my life is like that. And when you get lost, you go back to your totem. It tells you who you are, where you come from, and all that sort of thing. Like the winter, it's winter. I don't go out in winter. I never have, because I like hibernate, and I always said it. And that was even before I knew my totem. And then I found my totem and was like, oh, I understand myself better now. So everyone's got different totems.
Me and you are kindred spirits. Absolutely. I love the sunshine. Keep the winters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yous fellas have got them too. Yous have got different ones. Deer, lions, your coat of arms and shit like that. They're your totem animals.
Yeah, mine's definitely a Chewbacca.
Luna, I'm having a lot of weird things happen with birds visiting me. They come right up to me. I'll be standing near a post, and they'll be like, feet away from me, squawking at me and trying to tell me something. And I'm going, what are you trying to say, guys? It's like different birds each week. It's like a crow, it's like a magpie, it's like a wagtail, it's like a parrot, and it's really confusing me lately. It's like they're trying to tell me something. I've been getting it for like 3 weeks now, and it's spinning me out actually. And they're really talking to me.
One thing it'll always be around you. Like I always had snakes and lizards around me. It's like I can talk to them. It's always been like that. I never doubted it, because that's my totem. So that's what it's like. And we have a saying for mothers that go to the pub and drink all the time, get their husbands to look after them. We call them emu women, because they get the male emu to look after the eggs.
I like that, definitely. So
I've
Donnie,
got big emus here. I think they're like 6 foot tall the other week. Oh, they're beautiful.
a 6 foot tall emu.
Kangaroo neighbours, visit me every day. They're great.
So Donnie, have you remembered your dingo tale?
No,
Oh,
I can't remember it now. It's sort of completely gone.
That's all right, brother. That's all
But I
right. Now
wanted to
listen,
say something.
on you go then. I'll give it to you, Donnie.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say about our totems. Like mine is possum, which is fur. I can talk to fur animals. Like I can talk to Luna's cat there.
I'll keep Donnie
Yeah,
close.
This is what I've said. You've heard me saying this on Freaky Friday before and that, Jess. I do. And I'm learning now, it still goes on today, but I've often thought that at one point we could communicate with animals. We were more in tune with them. There was a relationship. Yeah, but like I say, I'm starting to come to realise that, again, it's not anything that we're rediscovering. There's still people doing that right now, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Aboriginal people definitely have a special relationship with animals and seem to be intuitively understanding of them.
Big time. Now, we've been going for 2 hours, so I'm going to get your last thoughts on things before we wrap up, and hopefully we can do this again real soon. But this has been, again, jaw-dropping today. Gonna have to go back and listen to it again. There's some shows
Can I
I
tell
don't...
you something about the shoes?
Of course you can, brother. Of course you can. Over to you, man.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing sites inspection, not too far away from my traditional grounds. There we had to visit a men's site. First, we had to do ceremony, which had to smoke ourselves, take our shoes off and touch Mother Earth. Then we went up to what they call a napping site. And it's where the old fellas used to make their tools. And we had to wait there. And it was raining, it was wet, it was cold. And we had to wait for a sign. We sat there about 10 minutes, and all of a sudden the clouds came apart and the sun shined down exactly where we had to go. And I said, come on, fellas, we have to go. We went up there, checked the site out, come back. I can't tell you all the story. But on this same hill, there's a small rocky outcrop. On this small rocky outcrop, the only way you can get there is either walk to it or basically try to get a four-wheel drive up to it. Now, nearest house is about 10 kilometres away, which is about 6 miles.
Yep.
On top of this rocky outcrop is it still is now, 16 pairs of women's shoes. And sitting on the top of this outcrop, ranging from sandals right up to work boots, all women's shoes. And this is the opening of a men's site. And I'm still just got everyone figuring out how the hell did them shoes get up on that rocky outcrop.
The newest pair was around 20 years old too, wasn't it, Donnie? So they're like 20 years old and older, the shoes.
Yeah. And the only way I can figure it out is, one, somebody's brought them right up there, or a hairy man's been taking them and putting them up there for his ceremony. That's the only thing I can figure out.
And you found an arrowhead too there, Uncle, didn't you?
Yes, that's the other thing too. We found an arrowhead. It's had been fired. We don't use arrows. We use spear and woomera. And the basic shape of it was like a teardrop. And the only thing that's dissimilar to it, I researched it, is clover.
Is what?
Yeah, clover chips.
Got you, right.
That's close to it.
So that, in your opinion, this is totally out of place then? That style of kind of arrowhead totally shouldn't be there?
Yeah.
Shoes appear.
Yeah. So with them shoes.
Aboriginal
people
don't use bows and arrows. They use spear throwers or woomera. So
I'm still stuck on the shoes. I'm still stuck on these shoes right now. You could have so we've got 20 pairs of shoes, right?
Yeah.
So There's various ways you can look at that. You could say 20 people went up there at some point, took off their shoes, recognised it was obviously sacred ground, but where on earth did they go after that? Or then you've got the option of...
That's a men's site. They shouldn't be up there.
They shouldn't be up there at all. Yeah, so they shouldn't even be on there.
That's right. Yeah.
Annie.
And
see,
like I said, the only way you get up there is by four-wheel drive or walk up there.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, Donnie, I cut you off. That was my fault.
Yeah. The only way you can get up there is by four-wheel drive or walk up there. There's another explanation. It could be that similar to that 411 missing, or Yowies have brought them up there for ceremony.
I don't know if you heard me saying that a second ago, or we're just totally, me and you are in sync, because I was going to say that this is better than any missing 411 story I've ever heard. Like, you've never come across like 20 old pairs of shoes that have been lying around somewhere. They shouldn't have been for many reasons. You can't get there. It's men's site. They're up half a hill. And then there's just shoes left there.
Yes, just shoes left there. Just that's all that's left there. It's just shoes on this flat rock.
Silence. Not often you get that in the Kev Baker show, eh? Dang.
I feel like we're offering a lot more questions than answers here tonight.
Now you're starting to realise what it's like being Kev Baker. You go into a show, you think I'm gonna learn something today, and by the time you come out of it, you think, right, didn't learn anything I thought I was gonna learn, and I've got all these questions now. It's the way of the podcaster.
The other thing we did find too, Kev, was we found 8 burial sites up in around that area, ranging from a 4-year-old kid up to an adult.
And is this something you weren't expecting to find there, Donnie, at all, no?
Well, when I was a child, because that's where one of the places we used to live, Dad used to tell us where we could play and not where we could play. One of the places he told us not to play was actually ahead of this creek, which is the start of the men's business site. That's how come I knew about that men's business site. I didn't know about the burial site because my sister told me. The area is something to do with what they call the catfish, and we call catfish down here, eel-tail catfish. Because I come across rocky, what they call rock stacking, the shape of the catfish. And as the story goes, the catfish makes the border ring in the water. We make the border ring on the ground. He keeps that air clear and clean and for his women. We keep our area clear and clean spirituality. Do you understand what I'm trying to explain?
Yep.
One does it in the water, one does it on land.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah. Well, that's why that area was something to do with the catfish, a giant catfish.
Wow.
That's all I could tell you.
I could listen to you all night, Donnie. I really could.
He's great, isn't he?
Something about your stories, man. It's goosebumps. I don't know what you do to me. It's like goosebumps, dude, in a totally heterosexual way. But you're a special guy altogether, man. Special, very special. Telling you.
Yeah. If I could tell you more stories, because I'm being restricted.
I know you are, Donnie. I can never. I've tried telling Scott. I've tried telling my mum. My mum gets it. I don't really think people appreciate just how important some of this information is, but I get it, brother. I totally understand it, and thankful, respectful, appreciative. I don't know how we're getting into all this info now, but it's obviously time for it to come out. I feel quite honoured it's coming out this way. And listen, if we can have a laugh along the way during the shows as well, that's the main thing, Luna, right?
Good laugh.
See, look at that smile. Look at that smile. See, that's what I'm talking about. So, Luna, any final thoughts before I'll come back to you to take it out today, obviously, but any thoughts about what we've spoken about or any messages for the audience out there?
I want to tell you is how can I put it? I want to give you all a tool, an energy tool. And I say that this is a general thing. Every day, everybody runs around and we give our energy out sideways like this to our kids, family, you on the show, whatever business that everybody does. We're all given, and we get depleted. What they've kept from us is by doing this energy given away, you don't get refilled and you don't have the knowledge that you should have coming in. So if you bring your energy this way, up and down, and it's as easy as thinking of the sky above your head, the ground beneath your feet, the mother, and just keeping that in your mind open, and you'll feel the energy going up and down instead of outways and giving and giving.
It's like that stone you were talking about, right?
Yeah, same thing, yeah. So, and just by being aware of that, all of a sudden you'll become aware of your own energy, and you'll see all your loved ones and all those other people just outside your energy, because they're the ones that you give to all the time. But it just clears your space a little bit. People do it when they talk to Creator or pray, because your mind's going up and down. You're thinking about Creator, you're thinking up here. What you're missing is the mother going this way. You don't have much time for it, but you can do it any time you want. You can do it in the office. As soon as you feel that your energy is too much this way and you're starting to lose it, just think about that. Just start bringing your energy up and down like this. And it'll help you also notice whose energy you're still given to. Is it still warranted, or is it somebody from the past that you haven't stopped giving them energy? So recall that energy back to yourself. And these are just simple tips. I help Aboriginal people in our community that are workers for the government, because everything the government gets our people to do is just deplete us on every level. So I run around helping them, talking to them in this manner about their energies and how to recall their energies and how to deliver them, and keep that connection going with Creator and the Mother to fulfill you and keep you going. So that's just a little tip. Try it out. It helps.
I like it. Some practical advice on top of everything else, I'm telling you. So, Ken, let me come to you, brother. It's been great to finally see you, put a face to the madness. And it's been great. It's been great, brother.
Sorry, Kev?
No, I've enjoyed having you on. Any final thoughts for the audience out there?
Man, I love being on here with you, bro, you know. My Scottish cousin.
Hey, my Australian cousin. There we go. And it's really good. We'll need to get you back on about these UFOs. Definitely, Ken. Yeah. One night when I'm on the show now, I can drag you in on Skype or whatever, save you phoning up America, you know. So, awesome, man.
Yeah, I have told her. I've been on a few shows about UFOs, but, you know, yeah, I'd love to redo it all on your show, because it'd be cool.
Yes, and of course when we're on the radio we can get into some algorithmic unfriendly stuff as well, Ken. I'm sure we've both got plenty to say on that front. So let me come to you then, Donnie. Thank you for sharing this information today. Really appreciate it, man. I wish I had more time to hang out with you away from shows, but it's hectic. We'll get there at some point, but again, thank you so much for bringing this with Luna and sharing it with everyone out there, you know.
No worries, brother. It feels like I need to do it.
Well,
yeah, mate.
Like I say, I think what we're doing here is something that needs to be done. It feels right. Doesn't feel like a lot of the other shows that we do. There's something different here. I know people love these shows that we do. I do myself, and Jess, of course, I'll come to you because you're really the one that does all the hard work here, right? I get up after my Freaky Friday, I've got a list of notes, I've got images, it's all near enough done for me, so I hope the audience really appreciates the fact that You've done a lot more to put this together than I have. I just bring along the ugly face, the hat, the questions, and away we go. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Kev.
Thanks, Jess.
I just want to say thank you to Donnie and Luna again, because without them, these shows wouldn't be happening. And I'm just really grateful to them for their bravery and the fact that, they've, it's really brave of them to come forward and talk about this stuff. And it's not very, what's the word for it? It's not something that Aboriginal people do. So it's usually very hard to get this information. It takes a long time and a lot of trust to be built up. So I honestly can't take any credit at all.
Hey, Brian, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'll give you credit. So I will. So.
And I just want to say thank you to Ken as well for coming on.
Thanks.
That's really good of you, mate. Cheers.
Yeah,
I know it was
good.
short notice.
4 against 1 here. I'm kind of outnumbered.
Luna.
Well, guys.
Oh, by the way, Kev.
I have had a blast yet again. And Luna, I'm going to come to you to say the final words before we head on out of here today. And Jess, I'm going to be a pest again. You know what I'm going to ask you to send me, don't you? I'm not even going to just send it to me in the background here, just so that I don't have to embarrass myself again, okay? Right? But
What do you want me to send? Sorry, Kev, what do you want? What are you asking?
Send me the didgeridoo on Facebook. Because I keep on losing it.
Okay,
I keep on losing it. So I ask you every time that I need to play it. But Luna,
just give me a second.
no
I'm
problem.
gonna find it.
And obviously, Jess, tell Dan as well. Thank you for sparing your time with us today. I'm sure he's away.
He's asleep.
Yeah,
he's asleep.
You see, he's away to sleep to catch that early wave in the morning. I know that.
Yeah.
But Luna, over to you, because I think it's only fitting that you say the final kind of thoughts, final words for today. And
just one word. It's great to see all of us here without COVID, Corona. I just want to congratulate you all on your healthiness. Yeah.
Awesome,
Okay,
awesome.
Luna, you go.
I knew that's a good one, Roddy. Man, I always get the hard things. I don't know, what can I say to you? Till the next campfire. Keep your unconditional love going. There's a lot of good people out there, a lot of people I talk to in the chat room. Where it feels like we're alone, and remember the great divide that is happening. People right next to you will think different to you in the coming future. You'll feel isolated. We need to seek each other out. We need to support each other. But most of all, as individuals, where you stand, if you do that thing,
Sorry,
it's
Luna.
all right.
Sorry.
That's the men saying hurry up, see?
No, that was my bad. I feel terrible now. I thought I had it turned down. My bad. So,
No, just basically keep strong in yourself. We're out there. We'll all be there for each other, even if it's just to have a yarn and a laugh to keep you get you going through. Because the time's coming, it's going to get a bit rougher for us all. But if we can keep this connection up, keep your energy flowing, keep the light in you, shine for everybody else, shine for each other, we'll make it. We'll get there. It'll be all good.
It's all going to be all right, as Bob Marley said.
Yeah.